Lisa, tell me what you think of the Arizona State Bar Association. How do you think it could do a better job? Or does it just need to be completely rebuilt?
It needs to be disbanded is what needs to happen. Half the states in the United States do not have a mandatory bar. Everything is run through the Supreme Court. And if attorneys in the state actually would wake up and see that this could happen to any of them when they cross the wrong person politically, either in a civil case or a criminal case, they would realize that this bar is run by a certain group of people. And Ed Novak had been the president of the bar, and in fact, we know for a fact, for prior complaints that had been made against Andy, that he was behind some of them. So it needs to be disbanded. It's too incestuous. There are too many people that owe people favors, too many people that look out for each other. I had a client who won a trial on a malpractice claim. The jury found them 100% liable. The bar would do nothing to them, nothing at all. Not even a sanction, not even a suspension, nothing.
It seems to me, from what I've experienced, and I filed numerous complaints with the Bar Association here, that all they do is protect bad attorneys and they stick it to good ones.
That's how it appears to me. I went over 20 years with only one bar complaint from a defendant who didn't like the fact that I was prosecuting him. And all I had to do was respond and it was dismissed. It never went further than that. And even Scott Rhodes, the one who was going to be our bar prosecutor at one point, told me it was shocking to see that I had had so few complaints given my role as a supervisor and as a prosecutor for so long.
Well, isn't it rather rare to practice as an attorney for 22 years and have no complaints filed against you?
It's very rare.
Would you call it an exemplary record?
I would say so, yes.
Now, when you worked as a prosecutor, didn't you get awards from citizen activist groups and victims' rights and police groups and things like that? Tell me a little bit about the awards that you received for your work. Tell me about the people who liked you, as opposed to telling me about the people who hate your guts for whatever reason.
I had a lot of awards from police agencies. I had awards from victim services. That was probably the one I'm most proud of, is the award from the victims, because I tried to make sure that I included victims whenever there was a discussion about their case in terms of a resolution of it. I kept them informed. I made sure that my attorneys kept victims informed, because they were the ones who suffered and they needed to be the ones that were interacted with, and I was very proud of that award. I was the pretrial attorney of the year, which was a little odd because it was my division, so that was kind of strange, but my people apparently supported me in getting that award, so that meant a lot to me. Throughout the years, I had awards from my own staff. That meant a lot to me. I had a governor's award for a project that I worked on to help better the community, so I've received a lot of awards over the years.
Okay, no nose picking on camera. Okay, let's see. Okay, tell me a little bit about this. I mean, it must be pretty difficult to be stripped of your right to make a living. How has this affected you personally?
Well, the timing of it was particularly bad. I had two daughters in college at the time this all happened. And I lost a job that was a very high income for a government employee. When I started off as an attorney, I started off at I think like $25,000 or $30,000 a year, which isn't a lot given the fact that you had 7 years of college. But I worked my way through the ranks, and eventually 20-something years later, I was making a decent salary. And what happened was I had that taken away. I had a retirement that I would probably have been able to retire in about 7 or 8 years, and I had to make decisions. Do I put my daughters through college, and do I keep my house, or do I cash out my retirement and try to make it through the next few years? And I cashed out my retirement. I paid about 50% in taxes on it, but it allowed me to keep my house, which day to day I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep because I'm way behind in my payments. I've been able to get one daughter to graduate, and the other one will be done in about 9 months. And that's really what means the most to me. So if I can get through that time period, whatever happens, happens. But it's devastated us financially. I mean, I have a large IRS lien on me because I cashed out my retirement and they just kept taking more and more taxes out. I owe credit cards. Everything you can imagine has happened to us financially. I have no retirement. I have a lot of debt. My house is close to foreclosure. Just about everything that could happen has happened financially. And I have judgments now hanging over my head from people that I prosecuted. And we still have one pending right now. My attorneys were sanctioned, and I sanctioned $200,000 by Ed Novak, the ones, Ed Novak and Tom Irvin, who received the over $1 million from Maricopa County. The judge gave them $200,000 in attorney's fees because they had to file a motion to dismiss. That's all they did. They filed the motion to dismiss.
That's pretty good pay. Could I get $200,000 for filing a motion in court?
It's pretty darn good pay.
Well, I filed lots of motions in court. Nobody ever paid me for them.
And the irony of that is that there's law that says you can't get attorney's fees for yourself. The judge completely ignored that, as well as the obvious unreasonableness of those fees. And we still believe we have a valid case against the county, and we are proceeding on that.
So that's still continuing?
It's on appeal right now, yes.
Okay. So in other words, you were living a pretty decent middle-class lifestyle, like a lot of professionals do in this country, and now you're in debt up to your eyeballs. You probably, sounds to me like unless you get some money or win some awards, you probably will have to move. You won't be able to continue living here.
That's right.
And that retirement that you cashed in with the county, is that kind of just like flushing money down the toilet? Does that mean you'll never ever be able to get any sort of pension or retirement from Maricopa County?
Unless things change and we're successful with our lawsuit, then yes, I won't be able to get any retirement, and I'll have to probably continue to work till I'm very, very old.
So what do you see in your future? I mean, if you were given the opportunity to go back to work for the government, would you do it?
I don't believe so right now. Not after this has happened.
Now, typically prosecutors have immunity, and it seems to me like that wasn't applied to you at all.
That's correct, it was not.
And now, is that a violation of some sort?
Well, the immunity has to do with civil actions, and we're still fighting one of those, actually at the Ninth Circuit, as to on the Stapley case. But the other thing is there are separation of powers issues that are at play here that I think are very, very important. Because the court didn't say that I presented any type of false facts or anything in charging Gary Donahoe. They just didn't agree with my charging decision. And that charging decision determination by a prosecutor has always been seen as sacred. Because you could put 10 prosecutors on the stand and they're going to give you 10 different opinions about whether a case should be charged or how it should be charged or what charges should be done. And there were plenty of witnesses who said that there was probable cause to charge Gary Donahoe. The court just decided, without any type of explanation, that they didn't think there was probable cause. Therefore, I should be disbarred for filing a case without probable cause against a judge.
Well, but didn't a grand jury give an indictment? Didn't they return a true bill?
Well, what happened with the Gary Donahoe matter is the grand jury asked for a draft indictment, but the court stopped them from deliberating because it was 5 o'clock, and they literally barged into the grand jury room and told them they had to stop. The importance of that was that there was a hearing set the next day as to whether there should be a stay for Gary Donahoe, and Judge O'Neill, even though the Supreme Court had denied the stay, Judge O'Neill granted the stay at that point, and the grand jury could not do anything. Months later, I went back and asked them just to release the case, and they ended the inquiry, which I was accused of doing something wrong in terms of the ended inquiry, but all the experts that testified and the law is very clear that end inquiry doesn't mean anything. It's not any type of decision. Despite that, Rick Romley held a press conference while I was still working for him and claimed that the grand jury found there was no probable cause to proceed. That's absolutely untrue.
It seems to me, based on the Supreme Court's decision on your appeal, that it was almost like a rubber stamp of the Arizona Bar Tribunal. Can you give me an example of how it was a rubber stamp and how they got things wrong? It seems to me like they didn't even read your appeal.
I don't believe they read it at all. In fact, they tried to blame me for not citing to the record all the time when I focused on the 200-page order that had been issued to try to basically show them that that order was not based on anything in the record. I focused on that, and instead what they did is they just rubber stamped it. They issued a 19-page opinion even though there had been a 200-page order and months of trial, and they had just flat out wrong facts.